All right, everybody. How are we doing today? Good. This is a great conference. It's great to see so many people who care about their community, want to make it a better place to live, to work, to farm, to go to school, to visit. I'm going to teach you some skills, hopefully, that you'll find useful when you go back to your communities. Before we get started, though, I just want to ask a simple question. It's going to be very interactive. If you have a thought or a question, you can just sort of shout it out or raise your hand. It's all good. So what's organizing? What do we mean when we say organizing? Anybody have a thought on that?
Newt Gingrich knows. He calls it, he talks all about volunteering.
Famous community organizer Newt Gingrich. Yes, of course. Now, what do we mean when we say organizing? Bring people together to do what? Prioritizing, yeah, exactly. Being maybe strategic in the way that.
Set a common goal.
Yeah.
Together under a shared vision, push forward whatever it is, shared vision through privatization.
Right. So if I had to sum up my job, and I'm an organizer, if I had to sum it up in 2 words, I would say, what do? I build power. So building power is what we all need to do because power is what affects what actually happens in this world. So I'm going to really kind of breeze through this presentation. We'll be giving you a copy of it. Actually, I'll give you the copy now because you can take some notes on these handy-dandy note pages. And so let me just tell you a little bit about myself. I am from a town called New Brunswick, New Jersey. You might have heard of it. It's the home of Rutgers, which is our state university over there in New Jersey. I got involved in local politics at first. I saw that we had a pretty corrupt police department, a sort of out-of-touch mayor, and some things in my town weren't really benefiting the people. So I got involved as a volunteer when I was a college student. And I met a man named Jim Walsh, who was our Eastern Region Director at Food and Water Watch. At least he is now. And let me tell you a little bit about Food and Water Watch. We are a national nonprofit. You might have heard of us. We're based in Washington, D.C. We have 15 offices all across the country. We're about to open up our 16th office. I'm really excited. It's going to be our Pennsylvania office. It'll be in Philadelphia. And I am the Pennsylvania coordinator, but I wasn't always the Pennsylvania coordinator. I started with Food and Water Watch by working on what we call a site fight. Can anybody guess what we mean by a site fight? It's a type of campaign. Yeah, what?
Go to a college campus or something and you campaign with groups there.
It's more like somebody who's trying to do something really bad in one place, like a site. So it's all good. We basically, the city of Trenton had a mayor there for 20 years, and on his way out the door, he wanted to sell the town's water system to a private company, which we didn't think was a wise move. Certainly was a bad deal. They were
National news, didn't it?
It did, and I'll tell you why. So we joined that fight very early, and we worked to ensure that they had the right to vote on it, because the mayor was just going to do it, and the law says that the townspeople can actually get together petitions in that particular town. In many towns in New Jersey, we have this right. It's called initiative and referendum. And so they got together a bunch of signatures, turned them in, and said, we want to put a question on the ballot that would repeal the law that the council passed to sell this water system. And it was actually not just Trenton's water system, but they were going to sell the water system for the 4 towns next to Trenton also. So really hundreds of thousands of people were going to have their water privatized. And the thing that really won it for us was they fought us on the right to vote on it. They said, no, you don't even get the right to vote. And the city attorney insisted that this was not part of the law, and it was not going to go to a vote. Well, we helped in the courts to actually make sure that they did win that right to vote. And then when they won that right to vote, Food and Water Watch brought me in to run the campaign for a 6-week contract basis. And we had a lot of fun down in Trenton for those 6 weeks. We had an office above an Irish pub in the South Ward, donated office. We had donated computers, donated printers. We raised $5,000 to $10,000 in real money. And New Jersey American Water spent $1 million blanketing the city, websites, mailers, television ads, radio ads, nonstop, telling people, vote yes, yes for a better Trenton, yes to sell the water. And we won with 80% of the vote. How did we do that? Well, we thought money was the only powerful thing. Well, there actually was people power, and people were able to stand up and say no. They won their right to vote on it, and then after that, it was a done deal. So that's how I got started with Food and Water Watch. I've also helped work to stop fracking in the area. At least in my area, the Delaware River Basin, you still cannot do fracking, no drilling in that basin, and that's because of our efforts to turn up the pressure, and we actually got them to indefinitely postpone the vote on doing that drilling. So that was a lot of fun, and now I'm happy to cross over the Delaware and fight fracking at ground zero here in Pennsylvania. So this is what we're about. You might have guessed it based on some of the campaigns I was telling you about, but we work to make sure that food and water is in the hands of the public, that people get to make informed decisions about what they're eating, that everyone has access to safe, clean drinking water, and that people have healthy, affordable options for their food. We also help to teach people how to organize and how to get their community to hold politicians accountable, to hold corporations accountable. And one of the really fun things we do is we have a great research staff based out of Washington, D.C., so please stop by our table. We're right around the corner from here. We have tons of very highly well-researched reports, full of citations, great information for you to take back to your communities, to legislators, to decision makers, and really inform yourself about what's going on. So we have them on all kinds of issues. We do a lot of work on the Farm Bill. Like I said, we're doing a lot of work on fracking right now, and we're actually engaged in a corporate campaign, and I'll get to that in just a minute. But yeah, so we're basically building a powerful grassroots movement for change, in addition to educating people about why we need those changes. So the truth about politics, hate to tell you, there's no right or wrong in politics. Politicians do what the power dictates. They're not moral decisions. Power is at the root of all the actions that these guys and ladies take. So we need power to win, and that's why I'm in the business of building power, and I hope you'll join me. So where do people get power? Or, where does power come from in politics? Two places: money and people. That's really what they say talks. Money talks and people talk. And if you don't have either of those two things, you're probably not going to get a lot of laws passed or get a lot of things to go your way. So you need one or the other, and I think we're probably going to go with people. So here's what we're up against, though, just to keep that in mind. It's a lot of money, right? Anybody think we could raise this much money to go up against them? I don't think we can. But we got the people power. So just real quick, I'm going to go through some of the different types of social change organizations, right? So we all, sort of are here. We know that something needs to change. Something's not right. There is a problem. We need to change it. Well, there's different ways to change it. A direct service organization might just straight up raise money to give to the people who are affected by whatever the problem is. So if the problem is people don't have clean drinking water, well, we might help raise money to give them the resources. Food and Water Watch is not a direct service organization, but there's plenty of direct service organizations out there. Self-help organization. So like that would be something where your main product that you would give to people would be training. You would train them how to fight the bad guys, or train them how to protect themselves. That would be a self-help organization. An education organization. Food and Water Watch used to be more of an education organization. Education organization focuses on educating, teaching people about the problems, hoping to change people's minds. And advocacy, there's a lot of advocacy organizations out there, especially based out of Washington, D.C. or state capitals. They're sometimes referred to as lobbying organizations. They predominantly use their budget to pay folks to advocate for their issues that them or their members care about. So that is a part of what we do at Food and Water Watch. But really, what we've moved towards is being a direct action organization. So direct action organization actually mobilizes people to get involved in the fights, to change the balance of power so that policies are the way the people want them, or the politicians do what the people want them to. So, like I said, we're moving from being an education an advocacy organization to a direct action organization. We used to be more of a think tank with all the well-researched reports. But now we're moving towards actually organizing on the ground. Not only do we have organizers at those 15 offices across the country that are full-time employees, but we actually have a local coordinator program that's been a huge success. We have over 100 volunteers who have taken a leadership role in sort of establishing a group in their community to fight for these issues, whether that's fighting against fracking or privatization or fighting for fair farm policy, those types of things. Now, we also have our organizing staff who coordinates the coordinators and also works on the strategy, and that's what we're going to do today. We're actually going to have a fun little exercise, and we're going to all develop a strategy on a fictional campaign. Also, something to note, we actually get more activists online than we do offline. So you'll see me around carrying around a clipboard, getting folks to sign up that way. We actually get more people by sending out email blasts and having them send it to their friends now. So that's something that's changing in the organizing world. Online organizing is becoming almost a bigger part of our work than offline organizing. So we have a very strong e-action network. We can send out a blast to all 15,000 of our members with email addresses in Pennsylvania, and we can usually on average get about 1,000 of them to take the next step and write an email to their legislator or make a phone call. We have sophisticated text messaging capabilities. You'll see in the first slide there was a little phone number. You can text the word frack to that phone number and it signs our petition and keeps you informed via text message. We also have really cool things like when we ask to call up legislators, we'll work out a special phone number that you call, and then you'll actually hear a recording of Food and Water Watch thanking you for making the call, telling you what to say, and then connecting you to the proper office. And that way we can keep track of how many calls we actually generated, which is a really important thing too. So technology, a big part of what we do now. But let's talk strategy. So how many of you are familiar with the Midwest Academy? It's okay if you're not. Cool, well this is great. You're all going to learn a lot. The Midwest Academy is basically, they do organizer training. They teach people how to organize and how to do it the best possible way. So we call that focusing on the strategy. And so when you see this, you'll see that we're going to actually break down the campaign, starting with our goals, and then moving on to other things. So first, the goals would be concrete objectives. It's like we said, when we said, what is organizing? It's building support around a common goal, bringing people together around a common goal. So first thing first, you got to figure out what that common goal is. Do we want to ban fracking? Yes, we do. Do we want to stop a particular privatization in one town? Maybe that's what we want to do. Do we want to ensure there's protections in the Farm Bill for small and medium-sized farmers? Whatever that goal is of the campaign, everybody's got to be on the same page. Otherwise, you're going to encounter a lot of problems, needless to say. So you also want short-term and long-term goals. So, right, like maybe we're not going to ban fracking this year in Pennsylvania, but what can we do this year that would put us in a better place to ban fracking next year in Pennsylvania? So maybe short-term goals would be getting, a town to pass a resolution saying fracking sucks, we're against it. Maybe get 10 towns to do that. Maybe get Philadelphia to do that. That would be a huge one, right? So these would be things that are intermediate or short-term goals that build up to your main goal. So the next column on the strategy chart, which you should all have probably received by about now, is going to be organizational considerations. So what types of things do you think belong under organizational considerations?
Size of your membership?
Absolutely, yeah. If it makes a big difference if you are a 500-member organization or if you're just 5 guys in a coffee shop. That might affect what strategy you devise. So maybe you have an office, maybe you don't. Maybe you have a bunch of members who have email addresses and they're very active and they'll blast right back to their senators or whatever. Maybe you don't have anybody's email addresses, you don't even have a computer. So these are all things that you want to consider. And you also want to consider, what do you want to build? Because here's the real thing, right? The bad guys aren't going anywhere. We're not going to slay them one year and it's like, we did it. They're not going anywhere. So we want to build campaigns that are going to make us stronger than we were when we started the campaign. I've been a part of many campaigns where at the end of the campaign, nobody wants to talk to each other and everybody wants to go off and get a lot of sleep and sort of move on to something else. And, well, then the bad guys are going to come right back in, and they're going to do you dirtier than they were going to do in the first place. So it's really important that you focus your strategy around building what's important to you. So if what's important to you is building support against fracking in the Philadelphia area, then that's what you're going to focus on. If it's in the Harrisburg area, it might be different. Moving on, you want to think about other stakeholders, right? So similar groups of people. Maybe you don't see eye to eye on every issue. Maybe, farm issues, you don't see eye to eye on subsidies or whatever, but you're definitely against fracking. You're both against fracking. So you want to find those other groups that are allies. You also want to identify your enemies too, right? So like, who's going to be fighting against us? And how do we work that into our strategy? Are the local unions going to be for or against it? What about the churches? How do they feel about it? What about the local elected officials? Is the mayor a big supporter of fracking, or does he really not think it's the best move? So these are things that you want to consider when you're making your strategy. And then the decision makers. So these are the targets, right? We'll get to targets in just a second, but they're usually elected officials. They don't have to be, though. We'll get into exactly what they have to be, but sometimes it can be a CEO of a company. It could be an unelected bureaucrat, the head of the DEP or the EPA, but usually we're targeting elected officials. And then the last part of your plan is the tactics. That's important, that it be the last part of your plan. You don't want to say, it'd be really cool if we have a big protest outside the ShopRite and we get a bunch of people to come hold up signs, and then, well, maybe that'll help the opposition, actually, if you do that. Maybe that won't affect your target at all. So really, you want to think about your targets, your goals, what you have to offer, and who you're trying to bring in before you think about, well, what are the best tactics to get there? So goals, they're what you want to win from your targets. We already talked about that. It's something that your target would otherwise not have done. This is important. Goals will be your victories. You can measure success based on whether or not you are reaching these goals. They're concrete. So examples of goals would be get the legislature to pass a fracking ban bill, or get those protections for small and medium-sized farmers put into the federal farm bill, or maybe get the USDA to make an executive decision on genetically engineered salmon. Yes, and so short-term goals would get us there as well. Now, your organization, so this is just an example of what you might have. Like, let's say you have a certain amount of money. You might have access to thousands of materials from Food and Water Watch we'd be happy to give you. Maybe you have cell phones free nights and weekends. That makes a big difference. Maybe somebody can loan you an extra computer. And you also have that list of everybody who came to your first event. So those would be things you'd have. What do you want to build? Okay, well, maybe take that 250 email addresses. Maybe by the end of the campaign, we want to turn it into 1,000. The more numbers you use, the more specific numbers you use, the more likely you're going to stay focused on your goals and on sort of meeting the waypoints that you need to get to where your campaign needs to go. And then, this would be great, right? We could increase the core group to 7. We could get a few more people to really take a leadership role. That's something important. People are always going to sort of drop off. You want to have recruitment always be a part of your plans so that the group doesn't just keep shrinking. You want to always be having people step up who maybe they 6 months ago they were a little green, but now they're ready to be a leader. Now they should be in on all the meetings, and they should take on a certain part of the project and sort of move on up because otherwise could shrink. So also you want to maybe work towards getting a list of all the reporters that cover these issues. That would be helpful probably, and then get that office space eventually. That'd be a good thing to build towards too. So targets. Example of a target would be the governor, a particular state senator. Maybe it's just a local official, council or mayor, but they have the ability to get you what you want. That's the important thing. You don't want to target the wrong person, because then when you get to them and you put the pressure on them, they'll just say, not my problem. They love to say that, right? Sorry, sir, that's a county road. We can't help you. But so when you pick your targets, then you're going to say, well, who has power over them? What is it that elected officials care about? Like what power forces work on elected officials? Yeah, they usually want more power than they have now. That's the main thing. So they want to build their power. So certainly they want to stay in office. Sometimes they want to move up to a bigger office. What else do they want? Money? Yeah. That's how they're going to get reelected, how they're going to move up to that bigger office. They want campaign contributions. Maybe they want a job when they're done. Maybe they want to, retire and have a nice, good job in the industry they regulated for so long. But yeah, so money, and then those votes for the reelection. They want to make sure they're going to be reelected, or like I said, get that office that they one day aspire to get to. So who has power over them is an interesting question. Who makes them get reelected? Which voters are the ones that are going to turn out? Which voters might stay home if they don't like their stance on this issue? And so really you got to determine what's it going to take to influence the target. Maybe the target had a really close election last time. So really any of their base backing off or not supporting them in the re-election campaign, maybe that would make a big difference to them. Maybe if their biggest funder to their campaign was not supportive of their view on your issue, maybe that would be something that they would feel threatened, or they would be able to be influenced or persuaded to the other side of the issue. And you may have several targets, and you may need to really develop a strategy for each of them. Like I was saying, it's not always an elected official. We're actually working on a campaign right now targeting the CEO of Walmart. We don't normally do corporate campaigns, but this is one where we felt it was actually in our own best interest and in the best interest of our members to pursue. I'm not sure if you're aware, but Monsanto has this new genetically engineered sweet corn. Yeah, you guys like Monsanto? All right. Me either. I don't like Walmart too much either. But the truth is they're the biggest grocer in the country. You guys might know that 14% of people get their groceries from Walmart. So if Walmart says no to Monsanto's genetically engineered sweet corn, that's going to be a lot less sweet corn that gets planted. And probably a lot of other grocers are going to follow suit. They'll say, if Walmart didn't take it, well, we're not going to take it either. They must have really been pressured there. So we're targeting Walmart right now. We did do a very successful corporate campaign one time against Starbucks. We got Starbucks to get rid of the RBGH milk. So, yes?
When Walmart gets those cards, it's going to occur to them that the people who are filling out those cards don't shop at their store anyway?
It's a question for them. I mean, we definitely do make special efforts to target people who do go to Walmart. But yeah, that said, a lot of our supporters aren't usual Walmart shoppers. But yeah, so moving on to the next thing. Okay, so stakeholders. Yes?
So if you don't have a target person, is there anything else you recommend?
Well, the target person is the one who can change what it is that you want changed. So there's definitely somebody who can do that. There might be other people protecting them and other people working with them in cahoots, but somebody has to have the power to change I don't know what your issue is, but...
We're the only people who can change. There's nobody protecting them. We can get the state to come in. Yeah, we're trying. It's really odd situation.
Okay, well, yeah, that's a good example of a secondary target, right? So maybe if the state steps in, then they would be forced to do the right thing, right?
But if you're not getting the state to really step in now, so that's what we're having difficulty is the state coming down on it.
Yeah, no, I'm not surprised, honestly. We could talk more after this, but I mean, certainly, if the state's not moving, maybe the feds move. Maybe,
Basically, look, instead of a target person, basically look a little broader, either the state or maybe a national.
Well, the target is a person. So whether that's the secretary of the DEP, even if he seems unmovable on the issue, that is your target, right? And you got to, make his life a living hell to get the pressure up on him. So I don't know who your target exactly should be, but there are secondary targets that maybe can put pressure on your primary target. But I'm happy to talk to you afterwards on that. So with stakeholders, who would these be? Who would be a good example of a stakeholder on the fracking issue? Okay, so people who live in the areas where there is fracking going on.
The gas companies that own the frackers themselves.
Yeah, they're probably on the other side of this one. They're on the opposition. And who else? Stakeholder.
Other groups like the environment.
Yeah, absolutely. Like there's tons of groups that have an environmental mission. Like there's probably other groups that have like a more specific, like clean water, like mission. Landowners.
Versus those who own the gas rights.
Sure.
People who have gotten jobs in the industry.
Yeah, people on the payroll.
People who are now working.
Certainly. Any.
Educators.
Yeah. Health professionals, right? You know, if you're in a hospital and somebody shows up who's just been, doused in fluids that are unidentified, that's probably going to make your job a lot harder at the hospital. So that's just one example. But there's plenty of other folks who might have a vested interest in this, and so you really want to sort of brainstorm and get the group together and think, well, who would be on our side and who would maybe be against us? So is there like a labor union that's definitely against us? What about labor unions that are with us? And sort of break it down like that. What's their self-interest? Find out everybody's self-interest. What are they into it for? Is it because they got a grant to work on, clean water issues, or is it because they, fundamentally believe that the gas industry is evil, or what is it that's motivating people to be a part of, or potentially be a part of your campaigns, and what are they willing to do? What do they bring to the table? Different organizations, like we said, there's so many different types of social change organizations. Some of them are really good at getting press and getting out there. Some of them are really good at making connections with legislators and maybe setting up meetings with the targets. Some of them are just more grassroots and have more members that they can, alert via email and those kinds of things. So your opposition, you also want to ask those same questions. What's motivating them? How are they organized? What do they bring to the table against us? And then the tactics. That's the last part of your strategy chart here would be what are we going to do? Are we going to get a bunch of people to sign postcards and deliver them en masse to Walmart? Are we going to get a bunch of people to call up a certain legislator or their local Walmart store maybe? Are we going to hold a flashy press event and try to get in the newspaper about this? Are we going to release a report with some findings about the dangers of fracking? What other tactics might there be out there? What has anybody done or thought about doing on any of your campaigns? An occupation, great tactic, right? It's all the rage right now. Letters to the editor, it's an old-fashioned one, still works, right? Anything else? Any other? Yeah, exactly. If there's hearings, packing the room at the hearing, changing what the media's perception is of the issue.
Go after groups that can help you, like Bennett Medical Group in New York State. It's a medical service that all 200 plus medical professionals, most of them doctors, band together to say that fracking is a menace to health and should be banned.
Yeah, so the tactic would be maybe set up meetings with these types of groups, one-on-one meetings where you can sort of put it all on the table and say, are you in or are you out? Yeah, definitely. So there's, really an infinite amount of tactics that you can engage with on your campaigns. It's just a matter of what's going to do the best job with your resources to affect your target on that campaign. Yes?
I guess my question would be, what is the best way to start? What's the base tactic? Starting at the bottom and slowly putting pressure up. What would be the best way to start it?
Well, I mean, the thing would be to really build your group. So if I don't know what you have right now, maybe you've got an office, maybe you've got a bunch of email addresses, maybe you know all the reporters and legislators that cover your area. If you don't, those would be maybe good things to start building. Definitely the more people on your team, the better. If you have their email addresses and their phone number, it's way better because you can call them when you need to or whatever.
Yeah, I live in southeastern Pennsylvania.
Cool.
And so we're sort of not really directly affected by this. Everybody's sort of aware of it, but it's kind of like, hey, that's not around here. but I think eventually it'll affect everyone.
Of course.
Is there a way to get, I'm not sure how to get everybody sort of paying a little more attention in my area. I know Philadelphia is, and I'm psyched that you're moving into Philadelphia, but
Me too.
it's just sort of I'm not quite sure how to, I almost feel like having somebody that's been directly affected come down and speak to people.
That's a great tactic would be to set up an event where somebody could come. What in lieu of that, what's worked great for us is organizing a film screening of Gasland.
Right.
People love entertainment. They love a free movie, and it's the type of movie when they watch it, they leave that room and they say, "Well, how can I help? What's the next step after they see it?" So that's a good way.
Some do, some don't. Some are still like it's not really happening here. It's sort of
it is.
funny. I know that.
In water.
Except I know.
Water.
I know.
That's what was so effective when they did the rally in Philadelphia against lifting the moratorium
Right.
in the Delaware River Basin.
Right.
That 15.6 million people.
But
Yeah.
I'm sort of looking at this as suppose you want like 5 of me in every town, which is the real way to stop it.
Yeah.
But I still need to get my own little group.
You got to find the other 4
It's a
still.
little insular group, and it's not really directly affecting us. And Gasland's still a movie.
Right.
We go watch it, and we get all outraged for an hour, and then it's not affecting us. So I don't know how to bridge
Just
that.
take them up to Bradford County for a visit.
Well, I would like to do that, but
Do a
that's
road
still,
trip.
it's almost like, I like Bradford County coming and speaking to us.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's sort of it depends on like the people that you want to get. So like some people are always down for a rally, and those are the type of people you'll get when you announce the rally.
Right.
Some people are more, they would love to maybe hear a lecture or something from somebody who's been affected. It's really, you got to sort of feel out what it is that people are going to be responsive to and what's going to build their interest in working for that campaign the most. I found Gasland to be a very effective tool to get people to sort of who weren't totally ready to take the next step, but maybe it's a different thing in your part of Pennsylvania.
Here's an idea for you. Are you familiar with the idea that methane from the Pennsylvania gas wells is got entrained radon?
I just heard that, and that's
Yes,
really
so
creepy.
develop that,
Yeah.
because that's something that they're gonna be moving in. It's not affected by voting. It's still there, and it's cancer causing.
Right.
People get a little scared.
Yeah, I actually just heard that this
Oh,
morning.
yeah, we
that-
use fear
that-
for everything. That really, fear does work.
It works great. Yes, you had more?
Let me ask,
Sure.
for a representative who is uncooperative, a petition, can you do emails and email address and signature now, or do you need a physical address as well for them to be more motivated?
For the legislator.
Right.
I can't tell you how much more weight they give a handwritten letter than a printed form letter with a signature than they do an email that's clearly a generated blast. I definitely, like, everything does make a difference. Like, they do, like, especially if it's something where you're on the fence, the legislator can actually, get political cover by saying, hey, my constituents called, and 5 times the number of people called against the issue than for the issue. I'm out. But calls are definitely better than letters, but they all work. They all build. So whatever you can get somebody to do, call and do a letter. Call every day. The more the better is always the case. Yes.
Legislators are required to keep handwritten letters on file. I don't know for how long, but that's worthwhile to know. They're not required to keep form letters. Email letters.
Right.
Don't call that one right after they're being brought up and talking.
Well, yeah. I mean, definitely there are people who won't be moved by the phone calls, but they are one of the best tools we got, and it does help. So yeah, these are just some examples. Would be maybe you the thing is you got a bunch of people who are really interested, but they don't know the strategy. They don't know the presentation I'm giving right now. So maybe organizing a training is the tactic that would be first. I'd be happy to come and give this presentation to any of your groups, or you could probably give it at the end of this. Maybe a rally is the thing. Maybe getting notable people to sign on to your campaign. So like a sign-on letter is what we call that one. You take a letter that basically states the principles of your campaign, and you say, you go to Penn Environment, will you sign on to this? You go to Pasa, will you sign on to this? And you go to all the different sort of groups that represent more than just their own thing. Conferences, hey, that's a great tactic. We're doing one now. But yeah, so there's plenty of tactics. Like I said, almost infinite. And then after you're done with the strategy chart, you're still not done. Now you need a plan for how you're going to execute that strategy. At which tactics? At what time? Really, you want a long-term plan. You probably shouldn't be coming up with a plan that's like, we're done in 45 days and we've won the campaign. You're probably going to need like a lot more time to build and get to the point where you can have an event that'll have a lot of people there, or you can generate enough phone calls or enough letters to make a difference. So you really want to be consistently looking back to your strategy chart and seeing, well, if our goal is to get 1,000 petitions, we're not going to be able to do that until we get some volunteers. So the first couple months we're going to be recruiting, and then the next month is going to be a training, and then the next month we're going to be getting coalition partners and getting the sign-on letter so that they'll also help with the whatever, and then maybe you're going to supermarkets or busy intersections and getting people to sign, or maybe you're, maybe you have a hookup where you can go hang out at a certain place in the library and people can come to you, or whatever the strategy is, you're going to want to have it be spread out over a long time, and set goals that are reasonable. You don't want to be overly ambitious because it's going to be disappointing if you don't reach those goals. So be a little conservative in coming up with that. Yes?
The lady who mentioned how to motivate people in Philadelphia about the dangers of fracking. If you go to a group that genuinely cares about global warming, and kind of understands what's going on, you can always say that methane, natural gas, has at least 56 times the global warming effect that of CO2. And then you say that current technology of fracking releases anywhere from 7 to 9% of the total production of the well in fugitive gas, and that is what is causing our global warming to go way up off.
Let's talk afterwards.
Yes, and another good point is all the trucks, right? Those trucks aren't running on clean energies. Hundreds and hundreds of truck trips are contributing. Yeah, tearing up the roads too.
Motivating for that education.
Right, but so like the key part of what you mentioned there is what motivates that group. So if that group cares about global warming, there's a way to get them on. You have to figure that out. In New Jersey, we worked real hard to get a lot of hunting groups and fishing groups on board because they don't want the Delaware River to be poisonous, but they're not necessarily the groups we normally work with. Sometimes we're at odds on other issues, as they probably are with other groups, but if we can find a way to sell our issue to them, they represent voters. So they are effective in bringing them in. So really, there's an angle to bring almost anybody in on the fracking issue, unless you're on the take from the gas company, is probably a downside for you.
Be one of the ones that receive the money.
A landowner that might make a ton of money off it.
That are getting the money in, some of them feel terribly guilty, but
Yeah.
they don't have to work anymore.
These are interesting stories. Dairy cows, which have the misfortune to drink out of fracking ponds, have ended up being quarantined, and subsequent stillbirths, 8 out of 11 animals affected. And deer love fracking ponds. They like the floating of them. So it's really too soon to tell what's going to happen to the deer herd because of that. And in any case, what hunter would want to eat tainted meat?
I'm with you. So that concludes the presentation. And this is just, if you want to, you have it printed, but these would be the numbers. So when Monday rolls around, it'd be great if you could call up our president and your governor here and let them know how you feel about fracking. add your voice to the chorus of others. And like I said, you can text FRAC to 69866 and join our little text blast list. But what we're going to do now is really fun. I think you guys will like it. We have a little scenario over here. This is a fictional scenario. And, yeah.
For those of us who haven't caught up in the age of electronics, what's this text blast? You call it a text blast?
Sure, yeah. Basically, it's a way to sign a petition by sending a text message. And we do the same thing.
Your office, and then somebody then transfers that.
Right, we say, in addition to all these real petition signatures, we have, 10,000 people who did it by phone or whatever. And we also do the same thing when you sign one of our petitions. We add you to our list. So we contact you through that, your phone number. Okay. If, you join our team, basically. So is there somebody who's received this that would like to read aloud the first 2 paragraphs, maybe? Don't be shy.
I'll read it.
Okay, let's take it away.
I live in Parkertown, PA, and a news report tells you that the mayor just announced at a council meeting that he has found a way to fix your town's budget problem.
Yes.
He is negotiating a contract with a gas drilling firm to allow them to frack in a public park owned and managed by the municipality. The deal has to be approved by the council before drilling can start. The council meets once a month. The mayor has said that the town needs to revenue from the drilling to make up for shortfalls in the municipal budget and prevent rising property taxes. If the deal is approved, the mayor says the Parkertown Library will need to be closed, along with municipal pools and a popular after-school program that is held at the teen center.
Yeah, please forgive me, that is a typographical error. If the deal is not approved, then they have to do all that bad stuff. Does anybody want to read the next 2 paragraphs?
If the deal is not approved, the mayor says, okay.
Correct. The deal would be the linchpin in the budget. Anybody else want to read these last 2 paragraphs for me? Come on. Yes, in the back.
Parkertown gets in drinking water from the
Methacton.
River, which flows through the park where fracking is proposed. The council will have a hearing for the proposal in 2 weeks where they are expected to decide if they will support the drilling plan. The council has 4 members who are elected from wards and 3 who are elected at large. The drilling contract needs votes from at least 4 council members to be approved. All members of the council are up for re-election in 3 months.
Cool, and you don't have to read the numbers. Yeah, oh, wow. Hey, elections happen. So, first of all, anybody know where Methacton, or what Methacton is? Anybody? No? Okay, it's a high school I went to in Lower Providence, Pennsylvania, Montgomery County. So anyway, yeah, so here you see the map, lays out the areas that each of these 4 council people represent, plus there's 3 more council people who run in a citywide election. And you can see the library and the school and the senior center where they're at. And maybe that'll affect your strategy. Maybe where the Parkertown Park is, where they want to do the fracking, might affect your strategy. Maybe these election results from the last election might affect your strategy. But that's all I've got. If you have any questions, I'll take them now real quick, and then we're going to break up into groups. And yes, in the back.
Which direction does the river flow?
Let's say it flows north and then up into the west, northwest. Any other questions on the scenario? Okay. I need 4 people to volunteer to be group leaders. Who is ready to be a leader? There's one, Jared, in the back, and 2 more. There you go, Linda, and there you go. Okay, so Jared will be in this corner of the room. Linda, you will be in this corner of the room. And then our 2 lovely volunteers in the back, stick to your corners there. And everybody, if you could just please make this quick, gravitate to one of the corners, and then engage in a discussion about your strategy. There's no right or wrong answers here, but think about those things that are on the strategy chart. So who's your target's going to be, and what's maybe the best way to move them. Have fun with it. Okay, we're back. So, is there anybody who really feels they want to present first? They feel like it's fresh in their minds, and they want to just say sort of sum up the discussion and tell us about your targets.
Well, since I'm a senior and it goes right out of my mind, maybe I better start.
Please. So, Linda, what did you guys talk about?
We definitely decided we wanted to stop the fracking. None of us are pro-frackers, and we didn't really come up with any ideas. We thought we needed to fix the budget at the same time.
Of course.
But we didn't come up with that. We did come up with our resources, which was our group. There were definitely a lot of the voters would be another resource. There's an election coming up, so that's a resource. We figured there would be Friends of the Library, the Senior Center. I think that the seniors need to be utilized much more than let them. You don't want them to just go off into the sunset and don't put them to work. Fishermen, because the river's along there, and then the neighbors and the recreation people. So we decided we needed to do that by influencing the council members, since they're the ones that get to make the decision. So we thought we need to gather the data on fracking, and so we did get the suggestion of leaving muddy jars on everybody's doorstep. Then we need to make it a public campaign, let the public be aware of what's really going to happen if this does occur, and then go to the council members. And we picked Ward 2, 3, and 4 as the council members that we were going to initially start to deal with. What we don't know is, are they going to have to vote on this in a month?
They can always delay it,
That's
right? They're not going anywhere, the bad guys.
So how long is their term?
Well, yeah, like I said, they're up for election in 3 months, so
but
within
they delay it for 3 months, and then how long is their term after that?
a couple months, month maybe. But yeah, so.
No, they probably have 2 or 4 year terms.
Well, I'm saying after the election, there's still a lame duck period that they would still be in office even if they lost.
Okay.
You know. So let's say you're coming up with a 4-month campaign. You identified your targets. Why'd you pick 2, 3, and 4? Those council people.
Because, let's see, the school was in Ward 2. We thought we'd use fear tactics, by the way, because fear works. And all the kids are going to be really close to that well. So the parents of those children would be good advocates, and we figured they could rag on their council member. Ward 4, just because that's where it's going to be drilled. And Ward 3, because the river runs between 2, 3, and 4.
Sure. Did you guys look at any of the election results? Did that play a role?
We did. Yeah.
We don't have enough information.
Well, yeah, but I mean, you do know that that those Ward 3 and Ward 4 had much closer elections last time, right?
Yeah, but why?
Doesn't matter, they're gonna be more nervous.
Well, yeah, right. I mean,
Yeah.
if President Obama wins the election with 70% of the vote, he's got more of a mandate than if he wins with 51%, right? He's more vulnerable. So.
But we know what he stands for, and we don't know anything about these guys.
You are correct. This is a fictional scenario, but.
We don't know anything about Obama either.
No comment. So, so you identified your targets and you came up with some good tactics. So making a publicity campaign to try to raise awareness, maybe reaching out to some of those, you said maybe the PTO or the parents organizations, because they're going to be hearing from the other side, right? They're going to be saying the school's going to be decrepit if we don't do the fracking, and so you're definitely picking your constituents properly.
We feel if the council goes with the fracking, then they're going against the community, because then the community's definitely going to go downhill. It does. It just, everything was pointed out, how the crime rate increases when the frackers come in, the roads deteriorate, et cetera, et cetera.
Sure.
Those are true things. Those aren't just fear things.
Absolutely. So did anybody else in the group have anything you wanted to?
I just wanted to say that by identifying all those negative impacts, we need to identify say, if you vote in favor of the fracking, then you're in favor of increased budgetary stress, and you're in favor of potential more negative impact of the community. So it's like putting fear in citizens, as well as putting fear in the councilmen, that if they vote for this, it's going to be perceived as a vote against the community.
Right.
Against the community as well.
Definitely good strategy.
They're using fear when they're saying that the deal's not done, they'll close this, and that.
Of course,
They're using
yeah.
fear doing that.
Right.
So you just ignore that.
All's fair. I'm sorry, I didn't catch your name in the back, but if you could just maybe sum up the group discussion? Sort of what made you come to the conclusions you did?
Conclusions. My name's Stacy. So our targets that we identified were the mayor and the 7 council members, and we thought we should identify the 4 council members that are most likely to vote against it and help sway them so that we're not, beating our heads against a wall.
Sure.
Secondary targets would be registered voters, seniors, and, any residents that live in this town, but particularly registered voters.
Sure.
The long-term goal is to get the council to vote it down. A short-term goal would be to delay the hearing so we have time because 2 weeks is not enough time to do much of anything. Tactics would be a call-in campaign to delay the hearing, particularly get the seniors to do the calling in. One tactic would be to identify the mayor's true motivation, because maybe it's not just the budget issue. If it is just the budget issue, one tactic, well, even if it's not, but one tactic is to identify other ways to balance the budget. One tactic is to meet with the at-large council members and get as much information from them about the motivations of the other council members to help figure out which ones we want to lean on first to vote against this. Do a sign-on letter and get groups throughout the community to say that they oppose the drilling, and bring that to the hearing, whether we can get the hearing delayed or not. And I think that's it. Can we come up with some other stuff? That's what I got in my notes.
That was great. You definitely had an emphasis on the research there, right? So you said, we're going to do research on the mayor. That's what we call opposition research. And we're going to find out why he's really doing this. Is there some connection that maybe if people found out, they would not support it? That's a great thing to research. And you also said, we're going to ask some of the council members about their colleagues on the council, called target research. We're going to find out maybe who would totally be with us, and maybe somebody used to work for a gas company, so we're not even going to talk to them. But definitely definitely good to do that research. And also I like that you had the intermediate goal of, well, let's just delay the hearing in 2 weeks. We're probably not going to be able to get them to immediately vote down the mayor's grand idea to balance the budget in 2 weeks, but let's go at it from the approach of there's not enough information yet, you need more time to think about this. Definitely a good strategy, I thought. So, good stuff. Kelsey, how did you guys turn out?
If I get anything wrong, just help me a little bit. We noticed that the hearing was going to be in 2 weeks, so we wanted to be able to get out the information as fast as possible. And we saw that using this gas money was just a short-term solution to the overall problem, because these things would have probably happened anyway with the budget, and it was just a quick fix because the gas drilling firm just was going in there. And so we thought, we didn't really come up with too many solutions, but for backup suggestions to be able to replace the gas drilling firm would be able to merge the police and fire departments and school districts. And then we're thinking of postponing the election, or then by doing petitions at each location, and providing people with information, showing a film and having good discussions with speakers, and then trying to maybe get pamphlets and flyers out to local organizations that would be interested, especially the hospitals and pediatricians, because very much the children in school are going to be affected, as well as the largest voting body, which would be the senior citizens who are having their senior center closed. They should be
Cool. Did you guys pick targets, like identify certain legislators you wanted to move?
Particularly on the wards because I guess the at-large members are more like they're actually affected because they're within these areas. And from my understanding, the at-large members I'm not really sure how it works, but I don't know if they'd have like a bigger picture.
Yeah, definitely. Like they're probably a little less in touch with their community than the people who represent the smaller area. Just like maybe your senator is a little more out of touch than your local, representative is. So good, great job, Jared. What did you guys come up with?
Well, our goal was to ban fracking in the area. After we talked about that a lot, and I saw a presentation today, so no question there. We targeted Ward 2, Ward 3, Ward 4, and at-large 2, because Ward 4 and Ward 3, you have the river running through. The drilling takes place in Ward 4. And obviously, since the kids are going to be going to Parkertown Park, we identified Ward 2 with the school element, your children going to play in the park. And Ward 3 and Ward 4, they really they're pretty close on the election results. They're like really close, so any sort of negative press might be enough to sway them over to someone else. So we identified, there's a lot of really great ideas in this group, but they identified movie nights and the senior center, the library and the school. I think we also said the park too. I wasn't sure what season it was. It's not January.
It's beautiful weather all the time in Parkertown.
And and then we were just gonna have movie nights at Gasland, and then have a petition at Gasland, and we would give individual petitions to Ward 3 and Ward 4 and Ward 2 people, and then we'd give all the petitions to the at-large 2 that we're targeting. So then you'd have the collective at-large.
Right, definitely.
I think that's it, right?
Cool. So did you guys feel like this was a useful exercise to kind of imagine these sorts of decisions? Yeah? Super. Well, I guess if you don't mind, Alyssa, just pass this out real quick. We do have 2 more minutes, so before you go, make sure you take down my information. Like I said, we're going to be opening up office here in Philadelphia. And if you didn't sign the sign-in sheet, you can come get it. Okay, there you go. And thank you so much for being a part of this. I think that, we really need to think strategically if we're going to win our campaigns, and hopefully this exercise is one that has maybe made you think a little differently about organizing. And, I'm definitely here for you. Like I said, if you want me to give this presentation to your group in your town, I'd be happy to make a trip out there. If you want to just get lunch and talk about our issues and our campaigns and how you can be a part of them. Right now, being passed out to you is the postcard that we're going to be sending to Walmart. So if you support our campaign to keep out untested, unlabeled, genetically engineered sweet corn from Walmart, the largest grocer in the country, please sign it and just leave it up here on your way out. Also, I have enough of these for everybody. If you want one of these reports on all the reasons why you should ban fracking, these would be great things to give those Parkertown elected officials. And so that's about it. I'll hang out and take questions, and we can talk more afterwards. Thanks so much, guys.